Good morning. Uh, This is the quarterly meeting of the Commission on America 250, technically the semi-quincentennial of the United States. My name is Denise Merrill, and I am the chair of the commission. This is my vice chair, Jason Mancini from the Connecticut Humanities Council. And thank you all for being here today, commissioners. It's been a big quarter for us, of course. And July 4th was amazing. And there's so much activity going on around the state, which is exactly what we hoped for when we started this commission, some 4 years ago now. So today, well, before I do anything else, we'll do approval of the minutes from the April 15th, 2026 meeting. The minutes are in front of you. And if there are no additions, corrections, omissions, anybody? My name is just misspelled. Okay, we will correct that. We have a misspelling of a name, Amorous. Yes. I bet that happens a lot. Okay, we will correct that. Without, are there any other corrections? Okay, if not, can I have a vote to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Okay, a second, anybody? Second, Steve. Okay, Steve and Deb Chandler was moved and seconded, so we have the minutes approved. Today, as I said, we're going to hear from commissioners about what they're doing on their various committees that have been meeting now for several years and get a national regional update and some work plan updates. So we'll start with that, and maybe I'll turn now to Jason. Do you have anything to add to the welcome?
I think given all of the activity in the last quarter, my biggest comment is really one of gratitude for CTH staff and everybody who has contributed to the success of programming across the year. We'll have some updates on grants and programs a little bit later, but I'm incredibly thankful to especially Rachel and Cindy for everything they've done.
And I second that. They did yeoman's work in the last month or so, especially over July 4th. Okay, first we'll get a national and regional updates from Cindy. So Cindy.
Before me, we have commissioner updates, and we'll start with Deborah and kind of go around.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to update you on the Museum of Connecticut History at the State Library's new exhibit, that is Connecticut's Revolution. It opened officially on July 4, just after the recommitment ceremony. I do have an exhibit guide here if anyone wants to come and take a look, but this exhibit will be open for another year, closing July 9 of 2027. And this is a statewide exhibit talking about the role of Connecticut as a state at the time of the Revolution. So how were we impacted by the Revolution? How did we impact it? And so as you walk through the exhibit, you'll be able to see some of the major founding documents and objects from that era, including the Goddard Broadside, which is one of 9 remaining original copy printings of the Declaration of Independence with John Hancock's signature on it. You also can see the original document that the Connecticut General Assembly issued in advance of the official national movement to authorize the vote for independence, for example, as well as other items from the collection, such as a pocket watch that crossed the Delaware with George Washington. You can learn about the Reading Encampment, which is known as Connecticut's Valley Forge, and quite a lot of other activities that were happening in the state, such as why were we known as the provision state? We know that that is because of what we provided to meet the quotas, but how did that really impact, and what did it look like for the local farms that were thinking of things in 2s and 3s rather than in the hundreds or thousands? So it's a really all-encompassing exhibit. I welcome you to come and visit, and do want to congratulate the Museum of Connecticut History's team. It was 4 people, along with a very talented group of advisors and consultants who mounted the exhibit. And I encourage you to come. It will probably take a couple of hours if you want to go through it in detail, but really wonderful opportunity to highlight not only items from the state archives, our state library's collection, and the museum's collection on behalf of the state, but also we received items from 17 other institutions across the state who lent us items for the exhibit. So items that have never been displayed before, and a really wonderful collaboration of our museums, historical societies, and other institutions across the state. So I encourage you to come visit, and if you like a guided tour, reach out and we'd be happy to do that as well. So thank you.
Thanks, Deborah. Eileen?
Good morning. My name is Eileen Frank. I'm the Executive Director of the Connecticut Museum of Culture and History. We opened our exhibit Rebellious in April, and knowing that what our colleagues were doing at the Museum of Connecticut History and really focusing on the Revolutionary War, we wanted to make sure that we had a companion exhibition. And so while we absolutely have objects related to 1776, our exhibition looks at what is the legacy and the impact of the Declaration of Independence, and how have Connecticutans for 250 years used those ideals to advocate for their own rights and freedoms. And so we also feature stories such as the Smith sisters from Glastonbury, who in the 1800s refused to pay a tax that was assessed on their property because they had no representation and could not vote. We focus on matriarchs of the Puerto Rican community like Olga Mele and what she did to advocate for Puerto Rican rights and acceptance in Connecticut. And also a really fascinating story of a 20th century doctor, Dr. Alan Hart, who pioneered a lot of revolutionary treatments for tuberculosis and was transgender and often had to move from medical facility to medical facility across the country due to being outed by colleagues. And so we're really pleased that that exhibit is going to be on view through the end of November, and of course, encourage you to come see it. And if you're coming to Hartford, you might as well see both exhibits and get a really complete 250-year story. We also had some really great media coverage of that exhibition, and we are offering both tours of the exhibition, staff-led tours, and we are doing special behind-the-scenes tours of our collection areas that really are focused on other material related to the Revolution that did not make it into the exhibition. We were also really fortunate to be part of the Hartford Bonanza and had a table down at Bushnell Park, where we also had a pop-up version of the Rebellious exhibit of large banners that individuals could view if they didn't want to come up to the museum. I think we all know, unfortunately, July 4th was very hot, and then really bad storms came, but I really applaud the staff who stayed as long as they could until it was time to go. So yeah, we're really thrilled to participate in America 250, and are looking forward to seeing how the attention that came around this commemoration at July 4th weekend might be sustained throughout the rest of the year.
Thank you, Eileen. Andy?
Morning, everybody. I'm Andy Horowitz, your state historian. Both of those exhibits are fantastic. So congratulations to those institutions. Those are must-attend situations. I'm mostly going to talk about something that maybe Rachel's going to pull a picture up. But while she does that, I'll say one of the things I did for the 250th was prepare, research, and write a new lecture called Why Connecticut 250 Matters. And I've given that with Connecticut Forum at the Twain House at Farmington Public Library and a UConn collaboration, and most recently at the opening of another great exhibit called Unfinished Revolutions at the New Haven Museum. Newspaper said there were 200 people there, and I'm proud of the talk. It shows how different people in Connecticut related to the revolution, what the revolution meant to them, and uses that to reflect on what that history might mean to us. And I'm interested to keep giving that lecture if somebody has ideas in particular. Efficiently, 100 people or more is my requirement here to give that talk again. But in the meantime, I also was privileged to collaborate with the Connecticut Department of Transportation on a series of 38. I guess the simplest thing to do would be to call them historic markers, but that doesn't quite capture what these signs are. It's sort of a 38-panel exhibit around the state at DOT sites, train stations, bus stations, and rest areas. And each of the signs features an object, artifact, or document from one of 17 archives or museums, 2/3 of which are from Connecticut and 1/3 of which are the Smithsonian or the Library of Congress. And each and then uses the object to tell a story. So the one that's on the screen now, that is a powder horn that belonged to a Glastonbury man named Prince Simbo. Prince Simbo may have been born enslaved and secured his emancipation through his military service, and that powder horn includes his engraving of the word liberty. So we have an incredible portrait here of from freedom and slavery, of military service, and of the artistry of this man who understood what liberty meant more viscerally than many. And I think we have maybe one more picture here. I forget which one it is. So while we're pulling that, we have great things from two of the collections that were just represented, including Nathan Hale's diary, which shows his actual, not his apocryphal last words, but the actual last recorded words that we have from Nathan Hale. We have from, that's in the Connecticut Museum collection, along with a red coat by a Fairfield Loyalist comes from their collection. And from the Museum of Connecticut History at the State Library, we have things like that, an incredible statue fragment from the King George statue that the Patriots tore down on July 9th in New York, hauled to Connecticut and turned into musket balls, except for the little piece that the museum has. Mary Catherine Goddard's Declaration, the Connecticut woman who signed her own name, the only woman's name, on the Declaration of Independence. And this one here nearby in Hartford, Hannah Bunce Watson, who was the publisher of the Connecticut Current. This sign shows, I believe, her printing of the Articles of Confederation. The one other feature of this project that I want to brag about is that the signs themselves were designed by MFA students at UConn, who had the brilliant idea to cast them in the colors of the Connecticut flag. So when you see them around the state, you're seeing great work by UConn students. And these 38 panels will stay up for the duration of the year, so go seek them out. And I believe the commission's working to print paper copies as well. So if you can think of other public-minded ways that we can use these designs and put them up, they work as all 38, they work as one at a time. So maybe you can help me think about what we can do with these. And then the last thing I'll mention that I did just off the sides, using the research from these exhibits and the sign project in the lecture, I also had a kind of summarized it all in 750 words in a essay that the Connecticut Hearst papers printed around the state for the July 4th weekend. So if you don't want to visit all the museum exhibits, which you should do, you can read the Cliff's Notes version in the Hearst papers. So thanks.
Thanks, Andy. Megan next.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Megan Baker. I'm the lead Asian American Pacific Islander policy analyst for the Commission on Women, Children, Seniors, Equity, and Opportunity. And I first want to start by expressing extreme gratitude and commending our executive director, Melvat Hill, who's double booked today. So I'll be reporting out, but she really spearheaded and birthed this event series that we did that I'm going to talk about, commemorating America 250 and exploring the American dream. So we at the Commission held a 2-day event for America 250. The first day featured a panel that included our own Jason Mancini, so thank you for lending your voice to that, and a youth panel with students from Simsbury High School. The second day featured a panel with our Secretary of State, Stephanie Thomas, and our panel conversations on both days really centered around different facets of considering the American dream, whether it be defining, exploring, or looking beyond to the next 25 years. And throughout both days, we featured a My American Dream quilt project, which was started by an artist, Lizzie Rockwell. We had attendees at the event during breaks or moments of rest share their own American dream or story by creating quilt squares in the second floor atrium. And at the end of day 2, at the culmination with all the attendees, we put together the big quilt. It currently lives in our office. I think Melvat has a dream for it. I'm not sure yet, but we'll definitely frame it. And I think she'll make that available at least via picture. And we also, for both days, featured artwork by an artist, Tyree Huey, who's based out of East Hartford and did a lot of work with youth in Boston in his previous capacity, and wrote stories about inner city children in the education system and turned that into the culmination of what he wanted to do for his artwork. So it was really powerful. We displayed on we displayed his artwork in 2D upstairs. And then a lot of our discourse was reflective in history and lived experience from our panelists that lend their voices. But we also really framed our event to look prospectively, moving beyond July 4th, what happens with the rest of not only 2026, but when we're looking beyond. And so we wanted to have this as a catalyst to announce some upcoming projects that we're doing. So looking ahead, we've launched our America 250 podcast series that Melvat hosts with her great moderation style. And then we're also going to be following this event with civic sit-downs that will happen throughout the course of the fall and will be hosted and spearheaded by the commission staff.
Thank you. Margaret.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Margaret Kahn. I'm here on behalf of the Connecticut Library Association. I did reach out to our whole library community and was inundated with messages, links, flyers about all of the programs that our libraries have been putting on. I want to thank the 30 or so libraries that took the time to respond to me. I did get information on probably hundreds of programs, 400 or 500 programs just from these 30 libraries who are all doing series throughout the summer. Some started in 2004 and are going through 2024, excuse me, and going into 27. So very comprehensive programming there. Even though I'm continually immersed in the library community, I was really impressed by the variety, quantity, and quality of all the programming being offered. I'm really proud to report on that today. Programming is being offered at Connecticut libraries cover topics from food to civics to music to history. There are programs for youth and adults. They're being offered insight at our libraries through streaming, through activities to do at home. They're very accessible. They're all free to the public. And our libraries are really honing in on the themes of this commission, being very mindful of that, and are covering a lot of ground in their programming. So I'm highlighting just some of my favorites. Like, I don't have time to go through all of them. But a number of libraries dedicated their entire summer reading programs to the 250th. Bentley Memorial Library in Bolton did Celebrating Our Country's 250th. Trumbull Library did Past, Present, and Pages. And Harwich Library did Stars, Stripes, and Stories. The New Milford Public Library on November 5th has What is America to Me as a program, which is about a family of Holocaust survivors and their immigration and integration into America, how they became Americans. The Farmington Library, I think Andy already touched on this, did the More Perfect Union lecture series. The Glastonbury Wells Turner Memorial Library has very extensive programming. They're doing a Stars and Stamp challenge rewarding community members who participate in their programming. They have a year-long reading challenge highlighting literature about U.S. music, cooking, geography, history, and people. I work at the Booth and Dimick Library in Coventry, and not library specific, but the Coventry Fireworks event was right before the 4th. It had a huge turnout. One of our local committee members runs a music store, and she passed out kazoos to all of the kids who came. And then right before the fireworks started, invited all the kids up, and they all kazooed Happy Birthday to America. And I just thought that was a really, really simple, but really meaningful community engagement opportunity. It's something that the commission really has been working to get our communities to do. Public Library of New London on September 22nd is doing Mi Gente Aquí También, Beginning Hispanic Genealogy with Confidence. The Kent Memorial Library is doing a program on American beer. The Stratford Library Association had a 250th birthday party in their children's department, and they are also incorporating the Freedom to Read, one of the American Library Association's strongest principles, into their 250th celebrations and recognitions, which I thought was a really pertinent thing to do. The Ridgefield Public Library, which really has been a stronghold for 250th activity, is partnering with their Keeler Tavern Museum and History Center on a lot of their activities. They also did a community flag where members could bring home their home canvas, bring it back in and make their representation of the American flag on their canvas, which is compiled into essentially a quilt flag. And then we did have some response from academic libraries. The Fairfield University Library is doing an exhibit called Homespun Heroines in conjunction with the Theater Fairfield, highlighting Revolutionary era fashion, politics, and history. They've also created a library resource guide. And then UConn at their Stores campus, their Archives and Special Collections has a commemorating in context exhibit through the end of the year. And their Stanford campus in April did a program called Haiti's Influence on the Early United States. So just really diverse, comprehensive programming here. And I want to thank all of our libraries for their cooperation and assistance with this. Thank you.
Thanks, Margaret. Sally.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, I'm Sally Whipple. I'm the Executive Director of the Connecticut Democracy Center at Connecticut's Old State House, and we've had a busy couple of months with a lot of things going on, beginning with the governor's press conference for the 250th, which was a beautiful event that really announced the commission's work and the upcoming events for the 250th. We also did a program with Senator Chris Murphy. It was a democracy summit, which was constructed with, first of all, a discussion between Chris Murphy and historians Kathy Hermes and Matt Wartschauer, talking about the whole history of democracy in Connecticut, which spanned a lot of time, but really helped us think about democracy in Connecticut and the story that we can tell. And the second part of the program was a conversation between Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona and Senator Murphy. And that was really enlightening, talking a lot about where democracy is today and where we would like it to go. We also had an event on July 1st, which explored Connecticut's direction to the members of the Continental Congress from Connecticut about how to vote in the vote for the Declaration of Independence. That combined music, reenactment, and a lecture by Matt Wartschauer on the topic, and it was extremely well attended. And we were really happy to do that program. It taught the history, a part of Connecticut history that a lot of people hadn't heard about before, and we also recorded that, and all of these programs are available online. We also had the Lieutenant Governor came to the Old State House with the Secretary of the State and some representatives to read the Declaration of Independence on the morning of July 2nd. And that was a really wonderful thing to have done in our courtroom, which is a room where the Amistad trials were held, and just a beautiful way to think about the history in Connecticut of the meaning of the Declaration of Independence and what it has meant over long periods of time. We were open throughout the holiday week, and we lit up the Old State House in red, white, and blue, which was really beautiful to see at night. And I really enjoyed working with visitors who were coming through the building to explore, to learn, and I was really impressed by the variety of people who were coming from in-state and out of state, who really had a lot of good questions about democracy and about the revolution and about Connecticut's role. And I know that I and my staff felt really happy to be able to share that kind of information with people, because while often we learn about the national story of the revolutionary period, we don't always look too closely at Connecticut. And that's what we're really trying to do through our tours and programs for visitors. We're trying to honor a quote that I found a few weeks ago that I just want to share because I think it says something wonderful about Connecticut. This was written by John Adams to Abigail Adams on April 30th, 1775, pretty shortly after Lexington and Concord. He was on his way to the Continental Congress, Second Continental Congress, and he wrote, "The assembly of this colony is now sitting at Hartford. We are treated with great tenderness, sympathy, friendship, and respect. Everything is doing by this colony that can be done by men, both for New York and Boston." And I think those words say a lot about Connecticut's role in the revolution. And at the Old State House, we are trying to bring that story to people as much as we can. Going forward, we have an educators workshop that we're doing in partnership with Mount Vernon on September 22nd about teaching George Washington, Rochambeau, and the American Revolution. And on September 26th, we will be doing our usual Rochambeau Day, but stepped up a bit for this year. We work with the Governor's Foot Guard, and we will have an outdoor event, an indoor event, which will celebrate the first meeting of Washington and Rochambeau, which happened on the grounds of the Old State House. But most of all, I think what we've been doing is engaging with visitors, and understanding what they're interested in. We've got wish walls that we've had up for a while where people can express their wishes for the 250th. And it's been really enlightening to see what people are hoping for the next 250 years. And we've just been happy to be part of this.
Thanks, Sally. I know Liz was hoping to attend. I don't think she is on here, but she was hoping to share that Old Newgate Prison and Coppermine has been working on a play that they're performing this summer. They also have a day of reenactments on July 25th, if anybody is available to attend. Her update would have been better, but it's what you get for now. And then Ariane, also the Secretary of the State, sends her regrets. They are at the annual Secretary of the State's conference in South Dakota, I believe. And so, sorry, I lost them. She said that their main initiative, aside from accepting and seeking attendance and speaking engagements for Secretary Thomas at various 250th related events, has been Flat Roger Sherman. You all heard about this at the last meeting. But since then, they've posted a full packet of information on their civics site, which is civics101.ct.gov. It includes ideas for where to bring Flat Roger, hashtags for posting them, cutouts to download and print, coloring sheets for kids or anybody else in different attire. They've also brought a life-size Flat Roger to various locations across the state, including the Roger Sherman Museum and the Old State House. He is also with the League of Women Voters in Litchfield County. They are looking for more groups around the state who want a life-size version of them, whether for an event, a day, or an extended period. People can reach out to Ariane to get one, or can work with the Secretary of the State's office to coordinate an event or appearance. So those were two updates that we don't have commission members for. And then Jason wanted to share some of our granting updates as well. So Scott, take the floor.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Thank you very much for all that you've been doing for the 250th and sharing such wonderful programs and activities that have happened all across the state. I'll share some things that involved Connecticut Humanities funding, and actually a number of the projects that have already been mentioned had Connecticut Humanities funding. So it's been great to see all these project ideas go from being grants to being the wonderful programs and exhibitions that I hope the public and commissioners will be taking advantage of over the coming months here. I want to start off with more thanks. I want to thank our grants team at Connecticut Humanities, Becky Vitkoskis, Janika Brown-Springer, all the staff really for the work that they've done to talk to organizations, help bring in projects, and turn out what's now been 100 grants that Connecticut Humanities has funded over the last several years that are themed to the Connecticut Commission's themes. Totaling $934,000 of state funds that have gone back out into communities all across the state to look at the ideals, what happened in the Revolution, what happened in the next 250 years, and what might happen in the 250 years to come. I'm going to just spend a few moments talking about the most recent grants. We did 8 grants of smaller and larger ilk in the last quarter of our fiscal year, totaling just under $93,000. And these range from a program with Shakespeareans in Waterbury, helping children explore the 250th and bring that to the stage. Artists interpreting what the 250th means to them with an exhibit that's up at the Florence Griswold Museum in Old Lyme right now. The Wadsworth Athenaeum looking at a bilingual program, and Betty Boricua looking at Puerto Rican culture in an exhibit they have up right now. But I want to talk about 4 with just a little bit more length, and then hopefully we can do a video as well. So one project I want to highlight a little bit more is in Bolton, or North Bolton, which is now Vernon, and the Vernon Historical Society came to us and received a grant to look at North Bolton's contributions to the Revolutionary era from 1760 to 1783. And they created a banner exhibit that will be traveling around to many locations in Vernon over the summer and into the winter months of 2026. We have People Empowering People. This is in Stanford. This is from Stanford Public Education Foundation. They're doing a 10-part Spanish language public humanities program open to all Stanford residents, empowering immigrant parents to explore the themes of democracy, belonging, identity, participation in American civic life. And this is going to take place from October of this fall through June of 2027. 10 great opportunities to have bilingual exploration of what democracy means to us today. We did 2 larger grants, one to the John Brown Project, which is looking through documentary film about 3 central humanities questions that they're going to explore through film. When did systemic racism disappear? Why was the Battle Hymn of the Republic written? And what does Jim Crow mean? But the last one, and one I hope we can get a video up for, is coming out of Ridgefield and the Ridgefield Historical Society. I know we've heard lots of talk over the last several years about the NPS grant, the National Park Service grant that they have that's done archaeology to look at the Battle of Ridgefield, as well as science work that's gone on with the discovery of some Revolutionary era skeletons that were found in the basement of someone's home. They're creating a new documentary film that will look at the Battle of 1777, the Battle of Ridgefield, through all these new findings. And Rachel, if we can get the video up, hopefully this does it better than I can.
Four adult men lying in a common grave. We came to realize very quickly that these may very well be victims of the Battle of Ridgefield.
So why is the National Park Service digging up ground in Ridgefield?
British fleet arrived at Campo Beach in Westport, Connecticut, unloading an army of 1,900. Led by General Tryon, they marched north with a single goal: destroy the Patriot Supply Depot in Danbury. But the invasion did not go unanswered. Thousands of Patriot militia mobilized under the command of the infamous General Benedict Arnold. A barricade was built to cut the British off from their ships.
There you are on a sunken road, on a ridge, in which an enemy army would have to advance under musket fire. And at that bottleneck of the road, for about 2 hours, Arnold was able to assemble whatever he could.
You know, you can imagine the Americans are being attacked and routed. They're panicked. They're dropping a lot of things. They're running. They're getting wounded. They're getting killed.
Musket balls, buttons. But there's a trail to be read as to where did the action take place and where were the most active areas of the action itself. And we know that what took place here was the largest inland engagement during the entire Revolution in the state of Connecticut.
We can stop there, but
Hello.
it's just a sizzle
I'm Rudy
reel of a full documentary that's going to be coming out in the next year. And I'll just end with here. We have stopped having a funding priority be for the 250th at Connecticut Humanities. That in no way means that we want to stop seeing all the wonderful 250th projects that communities and organizations have across the state. And as we just saw, we have declared our independence, but things like the Battle of Ridgefield are still a ways off. So there are many moments we want to help communities be able to share. And again, look forward to answering any questions that you have, but just love getting out to all the wonderful programs that everyone is doing. It's been a long time coming, and you go from the planning to the doing, and we're very much in the doing stage right now. So thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Oh. Thanks, Rachel. Just before we move on the agenda, is there anyone else?
Hi, folks. Amherst Williams, the Connecticut League of Museums. I'll just offer a brief update. We hold our annual conference in June, and this year our theme was very much connected to the 250th, thanks to some partnership funds from the Office of the Arts. The theme was on the next 250 museums and the future of democracy. We also worked with Lizzie Rockwell to do our first ever artist in residence program the day of the conference. So conference goers were able to participate in paper quilt making, and we put together a patchwork over the course of the day, which we unveiled at the end of the day. And that's now sitting in my office, also trying to figure out exactly what is the future of this object. But really a wonderful way to showcase the participatory nature of museum work and of the civic work of democracy. We had, I think it was probably our largest conference ever. We had over 200 people in attendance that day at Central Connecticut State University in New Britain. And we were able to bring in 3 wonderful panelists. Elizabeth Larison from the National Coalition Against Censorship, Merle McGee, who many of you know from this commission from Everyday Democracy, and Amy Werbel, who's an art historian at NYU, who's written a lot about censorship in museums and art. And so we had a wonderful panel discussion really about the role of museums in our democracy that I think inspired a lot of good conversation. This was sort of the largest thing that we at the Connecticut League did related to the 250th, a major convening for museums across the state. But as I think everything that everyone has said so far and that you are witnessing in your own communities shows, there is incredible grassroots work happening in every single community in Connecticut through historical societies, through museums, through collaborations with libraries, community groups, and cultural institutions. And that's been really wonderful to see. That's all I wanted to add.
If there's no one else who's reporting on this section, I just want to say, I feel like you're listening to the legacy of this commission and how grateful I am that people have taken the themes that we developed quite a long time ago now and gone with them. And right from the beginning, we knew that this would be a grassroots celebration. That's why we worked so hard to get every single town involved in the state. And I think it has worked, and I want to thank everyone for your role that you've played as commissioners in making all this happen. And the other thing that I noticed as we're talking about all these things is the collaboration we've spawned at the local level. You know, it came to me when I was going around to some of the towns that a lot of these groups had never worked together at the local level, even with each other. So you had libraries working with schools and museums working with civic organizations. I mean, it was really interesting to see the connections that I think we helped make at the local level and at the state level. So thank you, all of you, for your work in carrying this out across the state. Yeah.
So I'll keep the next couple of updates brief. In terms of federal initiatives, the time capsule has been buried. I was able to join a panel for the Wheelhouse on NPR to talk about the time capsule. So it's an interesting way to hear about some other time capsules that are happening in Connecticut and also hear from Tom Medema at, I can't remember what federal agency he's at, but they were responsible for ensuring that the time capsule would last 250 years. And so he talked a lot about all of the details behind that. The Great American State Fair has happened and wrapped up, and the Block Party, the National Block Party took place over a few different television stations on July 4th. We will have another update this month with the National Commission and should have some updates on where they are and what, if anything, is coming next for them. I do believe that they are scheduled to wrap up at the end of this year specifically. And then outside of that, some of the nationwide initiatives, we had bells ringing all across Connecticut. We've heard about quite a few that took place. Unfortunately, in Hartford, the bells were all too far away from the center stage, so we could not hear them. But we are told that they rung 13 times around downtown. America's Potluck. There were lots of community picnics and potlucks taking place on Sunday, July 5th, and lots around the country. And then finally, the Spirit of America. We participated with the Beinecke Library at Yale in a reading of the Declaration of Independence, and the Secretary of the State, Stephanie Thomas, participated as well with a panel of different people there. But there were also many, many other readings across the state. And at some point, we'll get a count of all of these just to have them. But it was all very exciting to see happening. And I think at this point, that is a wrap on the different national initiatives. I do know that in terms of regional, the Northeastern group that has been meeting on an annual basis for the last few years is looking at some more anniversaries that are coming up. And so are looking to keep organizations in Connecticut involved in those. I believe the next big one is Tryon's Raid. Okay, good. I'm seeing heads nodding. So that will be taking place in 2027, and there will be a couple of meetings in the fall to talk about how there might be a regional collaboration on that. So that is it for national and regional updates, unless anybody has any questions. Great. And then in terms of the work plan updates, we have been sponsoring events around the state at this point, and ensuring that the commission has a presence at some of those events. So that includes, at this point, a Yard Goats game back in June 27th, an event down in Greenwich on June 28th, which included a tall ship from the Netherlands, I believe. The 4th of July, many of you joined us there, and we truly appreciate that. Last weekend, we had Celebrate New London, and had a commission presence there. And we are continuing to sponsor events and ensure that the commission is represented throughout the summer and the fall. You all have been receiving updates with different events that are happening, and we invite you to represent the commission at any of those whenever you are able. In addition to that, we have been working to get stipends out to affiliate organizations and municipalities. We had 102 affiliate organizations apply for stipends and 82 of our municipalities. The deadline was the end of June. We might revisit that just to see if there is anybody who missed that for any reason. And outside of that, we have continued to work with CT Visit on the 250th landing page. That is linked out via the agenda, but we are seeing hundreds of events still on there. We are getting daily updates that new things have been added. So we anticipate that through the end of 2026, that will be a lively hub of information. And that is where we've been sending people at events when we're tabling. We've been sharing that 250 and CT website. People have been really excited to hear that it's not just the 4th of July where 250th events are happening, and they're looking forward to attending events all year. So it's been really, really positive feedback from the general public, and a lot of excitement that we've kind of gathered everything in one place for them. Rachel, is there anything else that we really wanted to share?
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to mention, I don't know, have you talked about the sponsorships yet? I just wanted to mention to commission members that we did end up with quite a long list of sponsors for the commission's work. And if, I don't know where they can see them, probably on the website, right? I mean, if you get a chance to thank any of them that really came through in the end, we raised a significant amount of money for some of these projects. And so I just want to throw that in there in case commission members, I'd like you to know who those sponsors were. And there were quite a few, right?
Yeah, they were. And they are on the website. They were also included in the April commission meeting. I don't have them memorized off the top of my head, but
Me either.
and if nothing else, the back of your passports have them. And some of our postcards have them on there. I don't have one with me, but yes, any ways that you can express gratitude for that. In addition, many of them are going to be co-sponsoring or otherwise present at some of the different events. In August, we are looking at sponsoring World War II weekend at the New England Air and Space Museum, or New England Air Museum, no space. And so RTX will be there as well that day. So we are trying to think of a way to collaborate and do something special for that. So yeah, definitely good places to see them all over the state. Oh, and then Rachel's one last point was that we are looking at opportunities. We did not raise quite enough to do a free summer at the museum for the entire summer, but we have been looking at opportunities to sponsor free museum admission in collaboration with events around the state. So for example, with Bonanza and Long Weekend here in Hartford, we sponsored free museums in Hartford from July 1st through 5th, and we're looking at other similar opportunities for weekend-long activities statewide. And that's about it. I'll pass it off to Rachel, who has some updates on behalf of the governance subcommittee.
It's really a quick update because the final deadline for affiliates to apply was prior to our June meeting. So we have a final total number of 260 affiliate organizations. So we squeaked right over 250. And that really includes, we've said this 100 times, but it includes a really wide variety of groups, museums, a lot of libraries, historical societies, and all sorts of other groups as well. So that was really exciting. And now governance doesn't have to meet monthly anymore. Any questions or anything about that? Right.
No, I just want to say good work, Rachel. You really had a job on your hands. Did a great job. And that's an amazing number of affiliates for a small state.
Yeah.
So good work.
For sure.
Thank you.
And we know a lot of you shared and invited people in and applied on behalf of your own organization. So thank you.
And Amherst, I'm not sure if you wanted to update on behalf of the Community and Organizational Engagement Committee.
Sure. I don't know how much credit the committee can take at this moment for work that Rachel and Cindy have really been doing to continue the outreach to ensure that we have representation from all of the towns, although members of the committee have assisted. In that process, it looks like, based on reading this agenda with the rest of you, that we're up to 159 of the 169 towns in Connecticut, which is super close. So I would encourage everyone to take a look at the list of town committees once again. And if you have connections in the towns for which we do not already have a contact, please put them in touch with Rachel and Cindy so that we can get to that full participation from all of the towns in Connecticut. I was not present for the recommitment signing and ceremony, unfortunately, but I was looking at the document that's in this room today, and just looking, it looks like there are a lot of signatures there, but there are plenty of towns that are also empty from that, and that's another place where we're really looking to get full participation from municipalities across the state in what is, I think, a signature sort of effort of this commission to really get all of the towns in Connecticut to recommit to the principles of the founding. So take a look at that. And I believe there's also a list online that was circulated prior to this meeting. If you have contacts in the towns for which there isn't already a signatory, again, please connect them with the commission. Anything else you guys need from me?
No, that's great.
Great,
And,
thank you.
just to follow up, I forgot to mention when we were talking about July 4th, the recommitment ceremony was really a great moment. Denise spearheaded the ceremony, the governor spoke. We had a reading of both the preamble of the Declaration of Independence and of the recommitment document. And really, the towns who were able to attend that morning and participate were really moved and really thought that it was a wonderful way to celebrate the moment. And I think that that is an idea that came out of this commission very, very early on in our meetings. And it took some time to figure out how to make it happen. But overall, everybody really felt like it was a special way to, more than fireworks, a special way to celebrate where we're going and come together as a state. So I do want to thank all of you. At this point, I believe we've gotten 90 signatures. We have quite a few more that are planning to sign. We've just been coordinating schedules, locations. For a while, I think this document will be going with us around the state to make sure that wherever we might be able to meet people, we can get signatures on there. And at some point, probably in the next week or two, we will have if you can reach out to folks and help us find somebody in these municipalities to sign, we will be asking for your help with that. So look forward to those messages in late July, early August.
In the future home of this document, Cindy?
It'll be going to the Museum of Connecticut History at the Connecticut State Library to their Connecticut's Revolution exhibit, and then we'll be joining the archive.
It'll be officially added to the State Archives collection for permanent preservation.
Thank you. And then last but not least, Steve, any education updates?
Yeah, I'd just like to, we should be proud, by the way, of Connecticut teachers and Connecticut students for a lot of work that they did in schools across the state. And I'm talking about, I know there's programs that went on for elementary school kids, middle school kids, and high school kids. I can tell you a real positive of this, and there's a lot of teachers that I spoke to, that this event caused them to do local history for the very first time. That they had never done local history. Some of them said that, gee, I never thought we could, but this was a very cool thing that teachers were examining local history. Not just, the revolution at the state level, but what the revolution was like in their own town. And the other thing, I think this was largely, not entirely, but like a civic teacher approach to this in schools was not just about the revolution and the Constitution, but how those, as we've talked about doing this, how those ideas have played out over time. How those ideas are still interpreted today. So I would just say from my perspective, kudos to the teachers and students who were involved in this, and also our local history certificate program for students and schools that officially registered. 182 students received recognition. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. And Rachel's going to share an image for everybody of the certificate in just a moment. We will be collecting names of teachers and students who are participating in local history projects in the fall. We think there are quite a few people who will be excited by the events this past summer and will want to do something in the fall. So we will do another batch of certificates and get them out to teachers and students in early 2027. So it was just a way to get a small bit of recognition for students, but I think largely they were quite excited to get a certificate from the chair of the commission and the governor recognizing this effort. And I think that is all we had on the agenda. I'm going to go off agenda a little bit, and I think This fall, we are looking at continuing the certificate program, but I think I am curious if there are any other things that the commission feels like we should be doing through the end of 2026. We still have some time. Excitement is high right now. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on where we go over the next 6 months, without going too crazy.
Well, there are still some programs going on, my favorite little program is the tree planting, which we didn't do this summer because we were afraid the trees would die. But there are many towns that have applied to get one of the, well, I guess technically, I don't know if they're technically, I can call them charter oak seedlings, but I think I can. Deb Chandler.
At least some of them are
Yeah,
scions,
right,
so we can
right.
say that.
Yes, they're growing quietly in a field at out at Yukon, and will be available in the fall to be planted as a commemorative tree for the celebration. So that's one thing that is still going on. I would love to see us continue with the educational programs. For example, we tried to bring in the Red, White, and Blue Schools program, which was before that, but the themes related to the 250th. So I don't know if we can manage that. The funding has always been lacking for that, but there's a lot of interest in that. What do you think, Steve? I don't know.
And also, sorry to be repetitive, but there's teachers that had the brilliant you know what, if I'm doing local history on this, I can do local history on other things too.
Well,
So
yeah.
that part of it, I'd like to continue. Could I just ask Denise, how does a town get a tree?
Oh, I think we have yet to put the notice out about it because we wanted to make sure we had the trees where they needed to be. So as far as I know, do you know, Cindy, where we are with all that?
We were hoping to get through July 4th, but
Yes.
it's our next big effort. So we will be creating a form where towns can officially request a tree and help facilitate getting the trees from Yukon to those towns. We also believe that we'll be working with Deep in the Cogs to do some tree planting workshops for towns, how to plant and care for this young little sapling. So there will be some of that as well.
Yeah, and we are hoping to do the distribution through the COGS as well, and we've engaged some Yukon and Yale students to help us with all that. So stay tuned and we'll get notices out to everyone when we get that organized. Okay. There are many other things. I mean, these exhibits, Deb, how long is the exhibit up at the Connecticut Museum?
It will be up through July 9 of 2027, so a year. We're
Okay.
open 10 to 4 Monday through Friday, and we'll be open one Saturday a month as well, which will be the third Saturday.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's
Congratulations.
free, so
Yeah.
absolutely come.
Why not? Yeah, and congratulations on all. You've gotten great publicity for that exhibit. Everybody's very excited about it. Yeah, it's great. Anybody else got things they want to continue doing? The commission will have, this is not our last meeting. We will have two more, one in the fall and one in January, I guess, of 27. So we have time to think about where we want to go with any of these projects or anything else people might be interested in doing. The Humanities Council here, I should say, has been amazing at channeling a lot of the funding, their grant funding, into this effort. And it was a pretty significant part of all the grants that we put out from the commission. So hopefully the Humanities, who has now gotten some significant funding from the state, will continue to support these efforts. So thank you to Jason and the Humanities Council, because they were the backbone of this entire effort. So.
Thanks for that, Denise. We'll continue to communicate to the public our plans for the coming year, but would also encourage folks online or in the public to share their ideas with us in the commission about anything you're seeing on the ground, things that have meant something to you in your communities, and how we might support your efforts.
Yes. Okay, so we do now have a little time for public comment. Is there anyone who would like to come forward and comment or questions? Anybody online? I think we are we doing online today? Yeah. No, no one there. Okay. All right. Well, any other thoughts for the group? If not, oh, yes, go ahead.
I know we already said it, but just a big thank you to Rachel and Cindy.
Yes.
Well done. Bravo.
Yes. Indeed. All right. Well, thanks also to the commission members for being steadfast and great communicators with everyone about everything we've been doing and hopefully we'll continue to do. It's been a wonderful effort so far. So there's some more still to do, but my great thanks for all the support I've gotten from everyone for these efforts. So have a great rest of the summer, everyone. And I think I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. See you in the fall.